I'd like to welcome everybody to the podcast, the video cast. It's positive mental attitude time. So we've got a choice. We can have a positive mental attitude or a negative mental attitude. And I tell you, the positive mental attitude goes a long way than the negative mental attitude. Gee, the negative mental attitude will stop you in your tracks, won't it? Have you ever been around somebody that's negative? You just feel so depressed. You feel so taken out of the game. The winds have been taken out of your sails. Positive mental attitude, always positive about things. You know, when we come to this world, we have a choice of two envelopes. We'll discuss that tonight. We got the rewards of a positive mental attitude, and we've got penalties of a negative mental attitude. Now, we can develop a positive mental attitude, and we'll discuss that. And then there's the 2% who succeed, and we want you to join the 2% club. So a positive mental attitude, being the single most important principle of the science of success, is worthy of our attention. Will depend upon everything we do. We cannot get the maximum benefit out of the other 16 principles without understanding and employing a positive mental attitude. Now, this choice of two envelopes that I talked about. At birth, we are figuratively clutching two sealed envelopes. One is labeled rewards, and the other one is labeled penalties. The first envelope contains a list of all the benefits we'll enjoy from taking possession of our own mind and by using it to get what we want. The second carries a list of the consequences that will befall us if we neglect controlling our own mind and directing it towards a worthwhile goal. It reminds me of a story that Earl Nightingale told about the guy in the rock quarry that was working, and he climbed up atop this very big earth-moving machine, and way up atop this big earth-moving machine was this tiny little cube box where this little man was able to steer this humongous machine. And the question became, what did you think he was going to do? Sit back, fold his arms, and allow itself to drive itself into a ditch? And the answer was no. He was going to drive it. He was going to control that machine. Much like our little minds, you know, our little minds can control our big bodies. Now, this chapter will open envelopes, these two envelopes. It'll open these two envelopes, and it will reveal their specific contents. We'll see that these envelopes are real, that the rewards and penalties that they contain are very real. And this is good counsel for young people. Open your minds. Nature abhors two things, a vacuum and idleness. If you do not use a muscle, it will wither and become useless. If you do not use the powers of your mind, they will do the same. Your brain and your life will become subject to every passing influence, unable to resist them or to act positively, unless you fix your mind on the object of your desire and create and act upon a plan for attaining it. You've probably heard something like the old saying, success attracts success, while failure attracts more failure. Nothing could be more true. Striving for success makes you better able to attain it. Doing nothing and accepting failure only brings more failure your way. If you put your mind to work with a positive mental attitude and believe that success is your right, your belief will guide you unerringly toward whatever your definition of success might be. If you adopt a negative mental attitude and fill your mind with thoughts of fear and frustration, your mind will only draw these same things to you. It's the law of attraction. And that is the power of mental attitude. Why not make yours positive? It reminds me of a saying I once heard: if your attitude's right, the facts don't matter. And if we keep our minds right, you know, we can go a lot further in life. And certainly it's telling us right here and right now that, or I'm telling you, that a positive mental attitude will be contagious, and it will carry on and bring more positivity into your life. So what would you rather have is the question. Now, there's rewards of a positive mental attitude. I'm going to start saying PMA for brevity's sake. Now, if we take possession of our own minds and we direct it toward desirable goals, we're going to enjoy 10 things. We'll probably enjoy more than 10 things, but here's a list of 10 to get us started. We'll enjoy a success consciousness, which is very important. Success breeds success. If we have a success consciousness, we'll breed more success. I don't want to even talk about a failure consciousness. Sound health. both physical and mental. We'll enjoy that if we take possession of our own mind. We'll enjoy financial independence, a labor of love in which to express ourselves. We'll enjoy peace of mind. We'll have applied faith. We'll have enduring friendships. We'll have longevity and a well-balanced life. We'll have immunity from self-limitation. And finally, the wisdom to understand ourselves and others. That's what we'll enjoy if we have a positive mental attitude. Now, there's penalties for a negative mental attitude. You can follow along on this list back here if you want. The penalties aren't listed, but the topics that we discuss are. And the penalties that we have is poverty and misery your entire life. I mean, who wants that? You'll have mental and physical ailments of all kinds. You'll have self-limitations which trap us into mediocrity. We'll have fear and all of its destructive consequences. We'll have hatred of the means by which we support ourselves. We'll have many enemies and very few friends. We'll have every brand of worry known to humanity. We'll be a victim of every negative influence we encounter. We'll be subject to the will of others. We'll have a wasted life which does nothing to better the human condition. Now, which choice will you make? I want a positive mental attitude. I want to strive for it. If you do not make the first one and embrace it wholeheartedly, the second one will be forced upon you. There is no halfway point. There's no compromise. Which choice will you make? Now, how to develop a positive mental attitude? If you're going to make a choice to have a positive mental attitude, you must have a positive attitude to make life pay off on your terms. Nothing great has ever been achieved without a positive mental attitude. Recognize that our mental attitude is the only thing over which we have complete control. Now we can exercise that control and direct it towards a positive mental attitude. We can realize and prove to our own satisfaction by making it so that every adversity, sorrow, or defeat, whether or not we caused it to happen, contains the seed of an equivalent benefit which we can nurture into a blessing that soars upon the disaster that brought it. And boy, if you can think in those terms, how much the better you'll be. Learn to close the door of your mind on all failures from your past. Clear your mind of any influence which does not support a positive mental attitude. Find out what you want most in life and go after it. Do it right now by helping others to acquire similar benefits. This way, you put the principles of going the extra mile into action. Select the person who, in your opinion, is the finest person in all the world, past or present. Make him or her your pace setter for the rest of your life, emulating him or her in every possible way. Determine what kind of resources you need and set up a plan for acquiring them based on the idea of not too much and not too little. Don't think small, but remember, greed more than anything else has destroyed ambitious people. And form the habit of saving or doing something every day which will make someone else feel better. You can do this with a phone call, a postcard, an email these days, or a simple act of kindness. Give someone a good inspirational book, for instance, and you give that person something that will work wonders in his or her life. One good deed a day will keep an old man's gloom away. Make yourself understand that what whips you isn't defeat, but your mental attitude towards it. Train yourself to look for the seed of equivalent benefit in every disappointment you face. And that is a key, guys. I mean, if we all have disappointments, but the way I've reacted to my disappointments has been self-defeating. And when I have a choice and I have the power and I have a choice, why am I acting self-defeating? Why not be self-uplifting? That is the difference. That's what separates. And perhaps that's what makes us part of the 2% club. We haven't got there yet, but maybe, that's part of it. We need to ascertain what we like best to do, and we need to do it as a labor of love with our heart and soul. Perhaps it will be simply a hobby, and that's fine. Just remember that an idle mind quickly becomes a negative mind. It's called brooding. Understand that often when you have searched in vain for a solution to a problem, You can find it by helping someone else solve their problem. By the time you have solved the other person's problem, you will have the insight to solve your own. Now, if we study Ralph Waldo Emerson's essay on compensation once a week until we understand and have assimilated it, this powerful work will convince us of the benefits we will derive from a positive mental attitude. If we take a complete mental inventory of every asset we possess, we will discover that our greatest asset is a sound mind with which we can shape our own destiny. And we can communicate with anyone we know whom we have unjustly offended and offer sincere apologies. We can ask for forgiveness. The more bitter this assignment is, the more you will be free of negative mental influences when you have completed it. Acknowledge that the space you occupy in this world is in exact ratio to the quantity and quality of the service you render for the benefit of others, plus the mental attitude in which you render it. Break bad habits. Abstain from your vices one at a time for a month until you show yourself who is boss. If you need help from a counselor or a support group, get it. Don't let your pride master you. Comprehend that no one can hurt your feelings, make you angry, or frighten you without your full cooperation and consent. Close your mind to anyone who wants to exert a destructive influence. Perceive that self-pity is an insidious destroyer of self-reliance. Believe that you are the one person on whom you can and should depend on at all times. Relate to every circumstance in your life as something that has happened for the best, for it may be that your saddest experience will bring you your greatest assets if you give time a change to mellow your distress. Now divert any change or urge for control over others. Squelch it before it destroys you. Channel that energy into better control over yourself. Occupy your mind with doing what you want to do so that no time will be left for it to stray to the things that you don't want to do. Attune your mind to attract the things and situations you desire by expressing in a daily prayer your gratitude for what you already have. Now, we can demand a reasonable amount of dividend from life every day instead of waiting to receive them. We will be surprised to learn how many of the desirable things in life are already ours, even though we have not noticed them. We can live in a style that suits our physical and spiritual requirements and don't waste time keeping up with the Joneses. We can refuse to heed anyone's advice unless that person is willing to give us satisfactory evidence of the soundness of his or her counsel. We will save ourselves from hucksters, the misguided and fools. We can discern that personal power does not come from the possession of material things alone. Mahatma Gandhi led his nation to freedom without a fortune. Exert yourself so that you keep your body in shape. Mental ailments can easily spring from physical ones, and your body, like your mind, must be kept active to remain positive. Reinforce the habit of tolerance and keep an open mind on all subjects and toward all people, no matter what their race or creed. Learn to like people just as they are, instead of demanding that they be just as you want them to be. Admit that love is the finest medication for your body and your soul. Love changes the entire chemistry of your body and conditions it for the expression of a positive mental attitude. It also extends the space we occupy in the hearts of others. The best way to receive love is to give it. Return every benefit we receive with one of equal or greater value. The law of increasing returns will operate in our favor, and eventually, or perhaps very soon, it will give us the capacity to get everything we are entitled to. A positive mental attitude works both ways. We can avoid the fear of old age by remembering that nothing is ever taken from us without being replaced by something of equal or greater value. Youth, for instance, is replaced by wisdom. Trust that adequate solutions can be found for all your problems, but accept the fact that solutions may not always be the ones you want. We can rely on the examples of others to remind us that any disadvantages can be overcome. Thomas Edison had only 3 months of formal schooling, yet he was the greatest inventor who ever lived. Helen Keller was without sight, hearing, or speech, yet she inspired millions. A definite purpose is stronger than any limitation. We can welcome friendly criticism instead of reacting to it negatively. We can embrace any opportunity to learn how others see us, and to use it to take inventory of ourselves and look for things which need improvement. We shouldn't fear criticism. We should encourage it. We can create a mastermind alliance with others dedicated to the principles of success. We can discuss our progress and insights and gain the benefit of a much wider range of experience. Always keep these meetings on a positive plane. Grasp the difference between wishing, hoping, desiring, and having a burning desire to achieve our goal. Only a burning desire gives us a driving motivation, and it can be fueled only by a positive mental attitude. Abstain from negative conversations, especially carping, gossip, or tearing apart other people's reputations. These activities condition your mind to think negatively. Discipline your mind to shape your destiny towards whatever purpose in life you have chosen. Seize every one of the benefits in the rearwards envelope and make them yours. Be yourself at all times. Neither you nor anyone else trusts a phony. Say nothing that does not reflect your positive mental attitude. Believe in the existence of an infinite intelligence, which makes it possible for us to draw on all the power we need to take possession of our own mind and direct it toward whatever we choose. We can believe in our ability to become free and self-determining and put that belief to work by acting upon it. Do it now. Believe that the American form of government guarantees us the freedom and privileges necessary to pursue our definite major purpose. Work to defend those freedoms as needed. Believe in the people we are associated with and recognize that if they are not worthy of our belief, that we have the wrong associates. And finally, read this lesson once a week for 6 months. We will so thoroughly indoctrinate ourselves with these habits and mind conditioners that our mental attitude will become and remain positive at all times. Now there's the 2% who succeed. The overwhelming majority of people never recognize the difference between wishing and believing. They never take 6 steps that will help them use their minds to attain their desires. Now, these steps are summarized below, along with our author's observations, based on a lifetime of study of the percentage of people who attain each one. 1. Most people go through life merely wishing for things. These wishes are as fleeting as the wind. They have no power to shape anything. The number of people who stop here, 70%. I don't know if they stop there or if they just don't know to go any further. I mean, to say they stop means they've made a conscious decision, but they just wish and they don't know how to take action. I think that's part of the law of creation, is taking action. And nobody's coined the law of creation, at least to my knowledge, before me. So I think that the 2% who succeed, out of that 2%, that most of them are wishers, and it says 70%. They just wish. And wishing, it says they have no power to shape anything. You can't shape anything on a wish. 2, a much smaller percentage develop their wishes into desires. They want the same thing constantly, but that is the end of their commitment. Now they represent 10%. So you can take your wish a step further and make it a desire, and that will make up 10% of the people out there. So yeah, you've got a strong desire, good thing. Number 3, a still smaller percentage develop their wishes and desires into hopes. They dare to imagine from time to time that they might get what they seek. I estimate they constitute another 8%. So we're up to 88%. A smaller group yet translate that hope into belief. They expect what they want will actually happen. These people number 6%. So 6% of the people out there believe that what they wish for will actually happen. Smaller yet, there's a group that will crystallize their wishes, desires, and hopes into a belief, and then into a burning desire, and finally into faith. They constitute 4%. And then the last of the few take the last 2 steps and then make it a plan to get what they want, and they carry it out. They apply their faith with positive mental attitudes. This group is only 2%. So what is the 2% again? The 2% is the group of people that put applied faith into action. And in order to get that applied faith, you have to have that burning desire. So this progression is a very powerful progression that they just identified for us. Where are we at on this list of progression? I saw elements of myself in every stage, but it takes some real self-reflection to see where you're truly at. Now, the outstanding leaders in every walk of life are the people in the sixth group. They recognize the power of their own minds, they seize that power and direct it towards whatever they choose. When we take this step, the word impossible will have no meaning for us. Everything will be possible for us, and we will manage to get it. Now, we can join the 2% Club. I want to join the 2% Club. Now, here are the requirements for the membership in the 2% Club. Only we can measure our success in meeting them. 1, adjust ourselves to other people's states of mind and peculiarities so that we can get along peacefully with them. Observe a dog and learn the art of self-control by watching how quickly it adjusts itself to its master's moods. 2, ignore trivial circumstances in our relations with others. Do not let them become controversies. Big people look past small slights. 3, establish control of our mind at the start of each day using the techniques for building a positive mental attitude. Maintain that attitude throughout the day. 4, learn the art of selling ourselves indirectly by persuasion and example rather than by the hard sell. 5, develop a hearty laugh as a means to release anger. 6, analyze all of our setbacks and determine their causes. Discover the seed of equivalent benefit in each circumstance. 7, concentrate our mind on the can-do portion of the tasks that we face. We shouldn't worry about the cannot-do portion unless and until we meet it face-to-face. By that time, the can-do portion will have shown us the way to success. 8, turn all unpleasant circumstances into opportunities for positive action. Make this an automatic habit and your success will multiply. 9, remember that no one can win all of the time, no matter how much he deserves it. When you do not get exactly what you wanted, maximize your gain by increasing your understanding of yourself. 10, look on life as a continuing learning process, and even bad experiences will become good ones. 11, remember that every thought we release comes back to us multiplied in its effect. We should monitor our thoughts and make sure that we send them out only to those whose fruits we are willing to receive. 12, avoid associates with negative mental attitudes. Their attitudes will rub off on us and poison every effort we engage in. 13, be aware of the dual nature of our personality. We have a positive side with a great capacity for belief and a negative side with an equal capacity for disbelief. Exercise the first, and the second will wither away. 14, recognize that prayer brings the best results when we have sufficient faith to see ourselves already in possession of the things we are praying for. This calls for a positive mental attitude of the highest order. Now, we can see how a positive mental attitude relies upon and reinforces so many of the principles crucial to personal achievement. We need a definite major purpose, applied faith in that purpose, and the personal initiative to act in ways that express our positive mental attitude. Now, the next 2 chapters of study will teach us more principles that both support and sustain our positive mental attitude. Their cultivation of success is a complex, organic process. Whenever we advance in acting on one of its tenets, we advance in others. So the next 2 chapters is 8, control your enthusiasm, and 9, enforce self-discipline. And those are good ones for me here. I know that in my life, I've had many opportunities to be negative. I've been around plenty of negative people, and I've been able to at least go on a quest of keeping positive. As I grow older, I can see people now pretty quickly when they're being negative. And also, I can catch myself when I'm being negative. It's funny. It's just like, oh, they heard that and it sounded so negative, and I get this feeling that comes over me, and I just try to stop. I try to turn it around into something positive. So, that's something that is good to do, is good to practice. We all have that power to respond and to react. That is our right. That is our God-given ability to be able to respond and react. And if we do it in a positive way, keeping in mind that all things will work out to our good, then it just reinforces our faith that we have. It's a mysterious principle upon which it works, but let me tell you, if you work it, it will work. So exercise that faith in having a positive mental attitude. And when something bad does happen, embrace it. Expect that it will happen. I've wrecked my car. I've hit deers and done other things to it. And every time I do something, it's a shame, and I just don't get upset about it. There's no reason for me to get upset about something that's already happened, for one, and that will take away my focus on staying positive, for two. So I know that in this day and age, staying positive is more and more difficult. It depends on the things we expose ourselves to. We are definitely creatures that if we expose ourselves to something negative, then we're going to be experiencing negative things in our lives. Whereas if we are also creatures that have the opportunity to make a choice to expose ourselves to something on the complete opposite, which is something that's positive, and that will also influence our lives. I think the number one thing to take from this is that you are going to be influenced by the energies around you, whether they are energies or spirits. I don't know what you call them, but they're bodies nonetheless. And these people around you are going to influence you. Even the things that they don't say, in my opinion, just their being will influence your being. And if they are dirty, you'll be dirty. If they are clean, then you'll be clean. It's all in who we expose ourselves to. So I think that that's something that is well enough said to take note of who we're hanging around with, and to guard our mind with the things that come into it. And if they're negative, block out that negative, because it will continue to tear us down. I know that for me, a positive mental attitude has been something that I strive for, and I look forward to working on it more and more. And as a process of self-discovery, finding tools and ways and means to continue staying positive. So thanks for joining us on this stream, and we look forward to having you all join us next time.